Okay, so it's day 61, and today we're going to be looking at, just again, what's going on in the news and whatnot. So I'm going to do my conversion right now. So, like I'm saying, I do the same thing every time. 333, $333 from DAI over to Bitcoin. Preview conversion. Done. Okay, so if you've noticed that Bitcoin Bitcoin has been going up quite significantly lately. Well, not really, but it's making some sort of headway, and Ethereum's doing well. And there's a lot of talk right now that there's going to be a huge surge coming. And again, is this just talk? I don't know, but that's what people are saying. So again, we'll just look at the headlines. It just says, I think we saw this one the other day. Don't touch Bitcoin until you saw this pattern. And this is an hour ago. We saw this one the other day. I think the biggest Bitcoin rest in peace dip, far incoming, whatever that means. And so yeah, he's going to explain why 60,000 Bitcoin is lasting so long. Usually that's because of accumulation. They call it the accumulation phase. If something's kind of stagnant for a while because it's trying to create a baseline, and it's creating essentially a basement for the price. But anyways, so yeah, these guys are talking about the reset and so on and so forth. Pompliano on Peter Thiel's warning about Chinese weaponization of Bitcoin. That's another thing in the news right now. They're saying that Bitcoin is like some sort of a conspiracy by the Chinese to kind of they're trying to they're trying to debase the U.S. dollar. So essentially, what they're saying is because the U.S. dollar was essentially the base currency for the world, especially for oil trade and so on and so forth. They're saying that this whole thing of Bitcoin was a master plan of the Chinese to try to rid the United States of so much economic power throughout the world. And I've seen people speaking about this. I'm not saying I subscribe to this. I'm just saying what's out there right now. Is it true? Is it not true? I have no idea. I don't know enough about it, but I've heard a few people talk about like how the Chinese are weaponizing Bitcoin. And again, I'm pretty much indifferent to it. I have no idea. But the only thing I could say is like, let's hypothetically say that is true. Well, it would be probably in the United States' best interest to be as Bitcoin friendly as possible, right? So if they did something, say for instance, like with like houses, like I know in Canada, I can't speak for the States, but like in the States they put capital gains on your principal residence, but in Canada they don't have capital gains on your principal residence, although they are talking about doing it right now. There's some serious discussion going on in Ottawa right now that they want to apply a capital gains tax to your principal residence, and if that is true, that will change the landscape of real estate because they're saying that like what's happening is that's why real estate is so expensive because everybody throws all their money into their principal residence because it's not taxable. So it's a way to to get around taxation. So that's why people pump so much money into their homes. Now, if the United States was smart, they could have a similar thing with Bitcoin. Could you imagine if they said you pay no capital gains on Bitcoin, every or very very minimal or whatever, like you know what I mean? The entire world, the richest people in the world who hold Bitcoin would all migrate to the States. So if that was true, that the Chinese were trying to weaken the United States economic system with Bitcoin, not just the United States, but any country, if any country in the world adopted a no taxation on Bitcoin policy, that would probably be the richest country in the world. What it would essentially be, you'd be like Saudi Arabia with oil. Like, the reason why Saudi Arabia is so rich is because they have so much oil. You know, they basically have this huge thing that's a goose that laid the golden egg. That's why they're so, you know, they have so much power, they have so much influence. But if you had a country, and you'll probably see it with one of those little, you know, you always hear like little tiny countries do something like that. They'll say, yeah, no capital gains on Bitcoin. I'm telling you right now, every billionaire, Bitcoin billionaire, would migrate to that country. That would probably be the richest country in the world. So I'm just saying, if that is true about the Chinese, they're trying to weaponize Bitcoin. They're trying to, you know, use it to debase the United States. If the United States played their cards right, it would be in their best interest to have the lowest. It doesn't even have to be zero. Like, let's just say for argument's sake, they bring it down to like a nominal amount, 1 or 2% income tax or something on it. I mean, like a capital gains tax on it, something extremely low. That the United States would solidify its position in the world as the richest country in the world, or whoever would do it would be the richest country in the world. Whoever was the most Bitcoin friendly, if, you know, as far as taxation is concerned, because everybody would migrate there. And like I said, this is where you have to, you know, weigh the pros and cons, you know, like look at it from a very analytical point of view. What's in the best interest for the country as a whole? You could add some sort of, you know, because you're always going to get the left saying, you know, why are these rich people not paying taxes? We got all these poor people, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, like you got to remember too, if all these rich people move somewhere, they're going to be buying expensive houses. They're going to be buying expensive cars. They're going to be buying, you know, they're going to be hiring maids and limo drivers and, you know, you name it. They're going to be hiring so many people, you know, just for their lifestyle, that, you know, it would generate a lot of money for whatever country that those people would live, you know. So that's just my own, I'm just, you know, giving my opinion on it. I could be wrong, but that's not what I think. I think the states would, you know, like I don't think it would be smart. When I say that's not what I think, like I don't think it'd be smart to tax, but like it seems like countries want to penalize it, and I don't think that's the way to do it. What they want to do is you want to be as Bitcoin friendly as possible. But anyways, that's just my personal opinion. And so let's just see what else is here right now. Okay, so the secret Bitcoin billionaire, how to become an Ethereum millionaire. Okay, let's hear this guy. Okay, like we've been, you know, doing Bitcoin to death, and it is a Bitcoin thing, but let's hear what this guy has to say. So according to this guy, if you want to be a millionaire with Ethereum, he's going to tell you step by step what to do. And like I said, I don't know this guy, but I'm open-minded. Like if somebody has something to say, I'll listen. So we'll listen to this guy.
Hey guys, welcome back. Now, for anyone who's been following my channel for a while, you will know I am a big fan of Ethereum. And over the last few months, I have seen quite a few videos on how to become an Ethereum millionaire. However, they always forget to include the most important part, the how. They always leave out the specifics of how much money you would need to invest to make it happen. And also what Ethereum would have to do in order to make it a reality. And so that is what this video is all about. In order to know exactly how to make $1 million from Ethereum, we'll need to look at the past, the present, and the future. So in this video, we will be looking at the growth rate of Ethereum so far, where we are in the current crypto cycle, and then how much money we actually have to invest to hit that $1 million mark. As always, if you do find anything useful in the video, be sure to drop a like, as that's always very much appreciated. Okay, so before we get started, due to the nature of this video, we are going to need one of these. A quick disclaimer.
This video is for education purposes only. You should seek investment advice from a registered professional before making any investment decision. This video is not responsible for any investment actions taken by its viewers.
So the first thing we're going to look at is the Ethereum price movements. And amazingly, Ethereum only came out in 2015, so it's not even 6 years old. So we'll pick it up from about here in 2016, and Ethereum was around the $1 mark. And we can see the first big price movement was up to here, which is around the $10 mark. So this is a 10x movement right there. We had this kind of sideways pattern for a while. The next big price movement went from around the $10 mark all the way up to over $300. So that's over a 30x movement. And again, we kind of saw this kind of sideways pattern for quite a while. So we'll pick it up again from about $300. And from $300, it went up to about $1,200. So that is a 4x movement. And this was the big peak in 2018. We then had a big 2-year correction or crash from then. And we'll pick it up from about here, which is about the $200 mark. And then most recently from 2020, it's gone from this $200 mark to where we are today, which is just over 2,000. So that is another 10x movement. So basically we had a 10x movement here, we had a 30x movement here, a 4x movement here, and then another, most recently, 10x movement here. So that is the past, and the question is, where are we with Ethereum right now? And this is a quick snapshot of the Ethereum ecosystem. And this is just a sample of a few of the different projects being built on Ethereum right now. And this is where Ethereum is really dominating. Nearly all of the DeFi projects are being built on Ethereum. We recently had Visa saying it's going to be using Ethereum. But I can tell you right now, we are still in the early days. Think about it. If you were to ask a random person on the street about any of these projects, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. So I still think this is very early days. So you can see just how explosive Ethereum can be. And that's not bad for a 6-year-old, right? So we had a 10x move, a 30x move, a 4x move, and then most recently another 10x move. And I don't think Ethereum is anywhere close to being mainstream just yet. I think the average person on the street has no idea of any of the Ethereum projects going on, and probably not even Ethereum itself. So I do think it's clearly still very early days. And I think it's fair to say that Ethereum could make future 10x and 20x moves. Now, before we break down the actual math and see how much money we would need to invest, we need to understand Ethereum's relationship to Bitcoin and also where we are in the current crypto cycle. Let's take a look. So here we have just a simple price chart for Bitcoin, and this goes back to 2017, and just look at the vertical jump that's happened in the last 6 months. So what I'm going to show you is just how correlated Ethereum is to Bitcoin. So what we'll do is we'll add in Ethereum, and the prices are obviously really different, so we'll change this to a log chart. And now you can see just how correlated Ethereum is to Bitcoin. Orange being Ethereum, blue being Bitcoin. And you can see when Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum follows. When there's a big correction, Ethereum follows. And you can see the price chart is almost identical. So what I'm showing you here is that when we're predicting the future price of Ethereum, we have to base it off Bitcoin. And when it comes to Bitcoin, we have to know that it goes through 4-year cycles. So here we have a halving event, and we have 1 to 2 years of a huge uptrend, followed by a big crash until the next halving cycle. We then have 1 to 2 years of a huge uptrend, 1 to 2 years of a big crash until the next halving cycle. Most recently, we are now in this big uptrend, and we're probably over halfway. So the last 10x movement that you saw in Ethereum, this is what's just happened here. Could it still do another 10x from here? It's possible. We'll then likely see a really big crash and correction with a sideways trend for a couple of years. And then if history repeats, we'll probably get one last chance of another 10 to 20x cycle. So the two key takeaways from this is that we could possibly see another 10x movement in Ethereum. There's probably going to be another big crash, and then we may get one last chance of a 10 to 20x movement. So whether we like it or not, Ethereum is still correlated to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still the Mac Daddy, it is still King Kong, and if we're lucky, Ethereum could still move 10x in this cycle. And we may get one last chance of a 10 to 20x movement in the last cycle. But with one big caveat: if Ethereum is proven to be the protocol of choice, as there's always the risk that something else could replace it, and we still are in very early days. It reminds me a little bit of the old Wild West. And on a quick side note, we do have the super cycle theory, which says with all this institutional activity going on, we could break out of this 4-year cycle and it could just keep going up. But obviously that's not guaranteed, so let's just keep things conservative. Okay, so we have the price movements. We know that Ethereum can make 10x and 20x movements. And we also know where we are in the current crypto cycle. Let's now do the math. How much money would we actually need to invest to hit that $1 million mark? Let's take a look. Okay, so let me just bust out an old-fashioned chalkboard and how to get to $1 million. Okay, so it probably doesn't come as a surprise that if you only have $100, even with a 20x movement, it only takes you to $2,000. Now, with $1,000, even with 20x in, you're still only around the $20,000 mark. So to get to 1 million, you're going to need in the region of $50,000. Then with a 20x in, this'll take you to the $1 million mark. Or with $100,000, you'd only need a 10x in to get it to the $1 million mark. Now, is it possible with $10,000 that you get really lucky with the rest of this cycle, get a 10x movement, taking you to $100,000? Then we did see a big crash for a couple of years. You managed to sell out very close to the top, buy back in very close to the bottom, and your 100,000 then sees another 10x movement taking you to the $1 million mark. So yes, it is possible with $10,000, but you would need several factors going in your favor. And think about it, you'd also need hodling guts of steel. If you're used to playing with sums of around $10,000, once you're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and everyone on the news is talking about a crash coming, you would have to hodl all the way to $1 million. And I can tell you, 95% of people will be selling up before they get to this mark. So just bear that in mind too. So we might see ETH still 10x from here, which would take it to around the $20,000 mark. And I think that would be the best case scenario. And if history were to repeat, we would see another big decline, but if we can time it right, there's one last chance to get another 10 to 20x movement. So having crunched all this data, my conclusion is this. Yes, it is still possible to become an Ethereum millionaire, but you would likely need $50,000 to $100,000, several factors working in your favor, and don't forget hodling guts of steel. I personally don't have the stomach to try and time this market perfectly, so I'll be playing it a little bit safer, taking profits along the way, and I'm happy to make a lower return. I will be doing a video on how I am personally playing out the rest of the year, so stay tuned for that. So there you are guys, having seen several videos on how to become an Ethereum millionaire, I wanted to show you exactly how that would work with data and facts. And I hope you found this useful, if nothing else. So having said that, if you did, you guys.
Okay, so to me, this guy's not really saying anything, you know, that we don't already know. Like, yeah, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to put money away. Like, we kind of get it. We know how to use calculators. So if there's going to be a 10x, put in 100 grand, you'll have $1 million, you know. But anyways, whatever. Like, I'm not insulting the guy, but it's not really, there's not really any information there you can't figure out on your own. I do think that Ethereum, I would personally say if you're going to go the smart contract route, that's maybe what you want to go for. But again, this isn't financial advice. Do whatever you want. But I'm saying the Cardano, because they're saying, oh, Cardano is going to replace Ethereum. Some people are saying this. I'm not saying everybody's saying that, but there's a school of thought saying that Cardano is the, is going to be the how could you say, the I guess the token of choice for smart contracts, because they're working on it right now. There's a bunch of people, they have a bunch of developers working on it right now. It should be ready by June, I believe. And if that is the case, like apparently it's going to be in direct competition with Ethereum, because that's what Ethereum's known for. And a lot of people are saying the Ethereum technology is getting kind of long in the tooth, like it's getting kind of old now. Because you got to remember, this is an extremely, breakneck speed pace as far as technology is concerned, the crypto area. So you might say, oh, it's only been around 6 years, but that's a dinosaur in this space. There's a new coin coming out every day, and you have to be extremely diligent in making sure that your technology is on the cutting edge at all times. And I'm not saying Ethereum's not doing that, but I've heard criticism saying that some of their technology is a little bit outdated. But again, you can always change that. But they're saying that apparently Cardano has a group of developers that are top notch. And again, I'm not saying the ones at Ethereum aren't any good, but apparently there was like a very concerted effort into putting this group of people together that are some of the best in the world, and so on and so forth. Like they're going after this with a very they're doing it properly with the best people in the industry. And I heard the same thing with Algorand. Like Algorand is supposed to have some of the best developers, but again, I'm sure Ethereum does as well. But the other thing Ethereum does have going for it, it's already established as, like, he showed that one picture. That was probably the best thing. This thing here, this picture here of what is relying on Ethereum. These are all the coins that run in the Ethereum network, and there's more happening all the time. So they've already established themselves as being the status quo, so to speak. Like they're doing really well as far as becoming a standard. It's almost like Microsoft, like Windows and all that. Like like a lot of people would say, Unix is better and it's more robust. I've heard a lot of people say it, which is probably true, whatever. But most businesses use Microsoft. Why? Because it's the industry standard. I'm sure there's ones that are better, but it gets the job done. It's good enough that, it doesn't, hinder business. I'm sure it has its issues, but I'm saying that it's good enough that it works, but it doesn't have to be the best, because people, when you just start getting into, splitting hairs, which one's better, that doesn't necessarily always translate to being the most successful in anything in life, being the best at something. You have to be marketable. You have to be accessible. There's a lot more stuff that's at play here, right? So again, you just look at it. So look at all the stable coins, the USD, that's probably the biggest stable coin. DAI, that's what I use. I've never heard of this Frax, Gemini, Digix, Paxos, WBTC. I haven't heard of these, but so a bunch of stable coins. These are probably the two biggest that I know of. And then you have the services, all these companies here. Then you have infrastructure and developing tools, asset management tools. That's a big one, right? Look at them all. Melon, MoonPay, all this stuff, right, is running off, Chainlink, infrastructure and developing tools. That's huge. Chainlink, asset. Yeah. So you got the asset management tools. You have, whatever, all this Uniswap's on there, Dodo's on there, like all this stuff's on here, right? So they're establishing themselves as something that, that other systems can run off. So once you become that standard, it's very difficult to get off that. It's like, again, it's the difference between Windows and like Apple's operating system. Like most businesses to this day still use are Windows based, like especially something like accounting. You go into finance or accounting, all they use is Windows based. You know, that's just how they do it. You know, they all use, Excel spreadsheets. That's what they use. I've never seen anybody in accounting or finance ever use Apple. And they tell you that in university, like you can't show up to class. Like if you hand in an assignment on an Apple, you'll get a 0. Like they don't use that. They use Excel. You know, that's the standard. That's what you use, right? And it's not that, and if you could have some guy argue, oh, there's one better. It doesn't matter. That's what everybody's using. That's how they use it. They're familiar with it. It works. You know, if you need to send something to somebody, they can put it on their system because it's all the same. It's standardized. So anyways, that's it for today. But yeah, I just wanted to look at Ethereum just to see. I thought this guy was going to give us some fairly insightful information. Basically, all he's saying is that it's probably going to go up 10 times. So, yeah, you're going to need 50 to 100,000 if you want to be a millionaire. I don't know. I don't find that. I think I could have figured that out on my own. But hey, the guy tried, right? So anyways, that's it for today. And like I said, I'll make a video tomorrow, I think, because the whole housing thing that I'm doing right now is over with. So yeah, I'll keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on and keep making videos. Okay, take care.